All right, so with the reef tank all consolidated into one tank, we have an empty tank here that I'm going to be converting to a freshwater tank, a Planet freshwater tank. But this one I'm going to do a little bit different. We're going to do kind of a very simple scape. Just basically, this is just two pieces of driftwood combined together with some rocks just to hold it down, and then the rest is just going to be an area for plants. But what I'm going to do with this is I'm not going to run any filters. We're going to take everything down. We're only going to run like a wave maker, just probably that MP10. Keep it on low because we have freshwater fish, so they don't need that much current. Just kind of blow, you know, current on the floor area. Maybe I'll raise it a little bit higher. And then we'll have one on top just to get kind of circulation on the surface area to exchange oxygen and CO2. We're not going to run CO2 in the tank. We're probably going to keep it low tech with decent lighting. So we'll see how that turns out. The tank obviously needs to still be scraped down. The coralline algae, not too worried because once we put fresh water in here, it's going to kind of like peel back, and then we'll kind of, you know, scoop it out. And then when we do water change, we'll remove it slowly throughout the week. There's still like algae from, you know, previously I couldn't scrape all of it because there's no water in here. But yeah, well, that'll be all taken care of as, you know, the tank progresses. On the other side here, I guess this would be considered a filter, but really that's just a pre-filter so it doesn't get clogged up. And it's just another wave maker for the surface side. And that will kind of create flow going out this way while this is pushing it. So it'll be kind of like a circular motion. So that's the plan, very simple, nothing else, no actual filter like a sump or canister or anything like that, or a hang on the back. It's just gonna be plants and that's it. All right, so I placed a second light on the tank. I dialed down the schedule just a bit. All right, so I placed the second light on the tank. I did adjust the intensity of light to about 40% because we're just growing somewhat low tech, or, you know, plants that don't really need intensive light. We have some that floated already. I decided to remove the jet on the corner here. The reason why was it was super loud and annoying. Like, it had this buzzing thing to the motor. I mean, the wave maker here has a noise too, but like that one was like 10 times louder, and you can kind of hear it way back here. So I just didn't really like that. You can kind of hear this like for this one as well. That's kind of normal. It's a hit or miss on this. So what I'm going to do is I have a second MP10 that I'm going to put higher up in the top there, and we're going to have constant flow of just circulation on top. And this one I'm going to maybe move it a little bit lower here just so that the carpet plants kind of has a nice like little flow to it, so that it can kind of prevent, you know, algae from growing on the plant. I don't think, you know, that's going to help prevent it 100%, but it will somewhat. And then the tank, as you can see, is cloudy after like a day or so of, you know, me filling it up. That's because the tank is starting to cycle already. You can kind of smell the ammonia coming from the soil. So this soil here leaches ammonia. It's a known thing. So this one is already starting the cycle process. Again, no filter. We're going to do a filterless tank. This is going to be something a little bit new for me. A lot of the time I've been, you know, have some sort of like hang on the back, something to kind of store the beneficial bacteria in. This one we're going to be relying 100% on the substrate and just whatever structures we have in the tank. So a lot of the filter is going to be coming from the plants. The other plants I'm going to be growing is carpeting plant, which is down here. These are all nubias. I'm just putting them down here for now because eventually I'm going to attach it to the driftwood and let it grow out, so it'll be like little pockets of bushes. I just didn't have time to kind of like tie them down because I'm going to use probably fishing string. I don't want to do super glue just because it's going to be a mess. I should have, but it's kind of too late because the water's already filled, so I'm just probably going to tie it with like fishing string. It'll be probably a little bit easier. And then I'm going to have Blixa japonicas in the back as a bush to kind of raise up the height a little bit. I'm still thinking if I want to do a stem plant or not. I mean, the tank is tall, so maybe we should have some stem plants to kind of have the height. Maybe we'll just keep it simple, just keep it nice and low and just have it really open so the fish can kind of swim everywhere. So the livestock plan for this tank is going to be somewhat simple. I'm going to do rummy nose tetras. I've never had them before. I have actually some outside in the garage in the quarantine tank right now. And they look amazing. They're just absolutely awesome schooling with each other. And then the other one is otters, nice school of otters. I have also those guys out in the quarantine tank right now. And then we're gonna have some shrimp, like just a mixture of I have a little project of mixing reds and blues, trying to get a purple strain. So we'll probably throw them in this bigger tank and kind of let them, grow out and see if they will actually, get a purple strain. Plus we'll have lights, so we can actually see if we have any of those. And then anyways, that'll be kind of a fun project. And plus they'll munch on, the algae and whatnot, and maybe a couple of mono shrimps just to help with algae control. Once the tank is established with plants and whatnot, and think about adding a couple pea puffers into this tank. I know that they really either eat like live, worms or black worms or whatever, or snails. And so I want to establish this tank with a bunch of MTS snails, and they'll just munch on those guys here as they see fit. So down the road we'll probably add those guys in here, but for now, if we change our mind, I don't want to add in snails yet, because I know those guys are just going to take over the tank with they just reproduce like crazy. So if they're going to add pea puffers in the future, then we won't add snails. But yeah, we'll see. So if you guys are wondering if I'm going to keep this coralline algae like theme here, this was a reef tank before, right? I took it down. The coralline algae was like hard on there, I couldn't scrape it off. So by converting it to fresh water, these guys are going to all die back, and it's going to peel back, or it's going to be really easy to scrape off. So I'll do that once the water has soaked for a while. A lot of this is going to bring the pH way low and make it a little bit more acidic, right? And so it's going to kill off this, and it'll peel off pretty easily. But yeah, let me know what you guys think about the scape. I'm digging it right now. I made it really simple. I didn't want to do too complicated. I could have added more rocks to bring it out, but the thing is, eventually these plants are going to cover most of it. So, there's no point in adding a ton of rocks into the tank when you're not going to see the rocks, in the most part, right? A lot of these plants are going to grow out and cover a lot of this stuff. The branches, I'm thinking about trimming a couple of these front ones eventually, maybe. We'll see. Because I don't want it to kind of block the path of the fish. I want them to have a lot more available space to swim, right? Like you can kind of see here, it's like a lot more open, but this one gets like kind of tingly. So think about like cutting this guy here, and then maybe trimming some of these little ones that are kind of like pointing like that off. So that way it's just like big branches. Like that one will keep the long one. We'll trim off like these ones here. Like that one sticking out, and like that one back there, and that way it's not as rough on the fish, and it's just easier to also maintain and whatnot, and also to attach some of these plants onto the tank. I just want to change it up a little bit, because I've been doing a lot of updates on the reef tank. There's still a lot more to do in the reef tank, and right now it's just in the ugly phase, so there's really not much of an update for the week, and probably the next couple of weeks. It's just really waiting for that phase to phase out, and then adding in more corals eventually, and then also growing out and recovering the anemones that kind of died in that tank. Yeah, so I wanted to get back into just aquascaping and keeping like one nice planted tank, just because all the tanks in the garage are just kind of converted into like either breeding tanks, and then the plants out there, they do okay, specific plants, because it's just too hot out there, so not everything makes it out there. So hopefully we can kind of get this nice and beautiful and something to enjoy, because this is in the living room, right? So just kind of like a display tank. And then up here, I think I'm gonna keep the branches. It's coming out of the water. It's a little bit natural. Like this branch up here comes up all the way to here, right? We can trim it back technically, but yeah, that's fine. We'll let it be. All right, so here's the tank. After a few days, as you can see, a lot of the coralline algae is starting to kind of turn that pink and kind of dissolve and go away. Again, everything's gonna go away. I'm gonna scrape it off. I haven't even scraped anything. I'm just letting it slowly kind of dissolve by itself, and then we'll scrape it and do a nice water change for it. As you can see, the pump's working pretty good. It's picking up some of the plants, so it's making this turbulence down here, so I might have to raise it a little bit. I'm gonna add another one of these on this side here. I'm waiting on parts for it, because I guess the magnet side I haven't used in a while. It was sitting outside in the garage for a while, and I guess it fell from the shelf, and then it cracked, like the back piece of this here cracked. So I was just like, oh, let me just get that back piece. So I'm waiting on that part to come in, and also I'm waiting on some more plants to come in so that I can fill this in. I'm going to do some japonicas, Bullixia japonicas in the back. I got some Downoids just to try again. I can never grow these guys, even on CO2 and even low tech. So I'm gonna try low tech and grow them in low tech and see what happens. But yeah, I'm waiting on a couple of those plants to fill this in just because it's really bare right now. So yeah, really all these guys here that are on the floor are supposed to be on these branch here. So I'm gonna just keep them on here until we can get the other plant in, just because it's gonna look super bare. I dialed down the lights just slightly so that way we don't get algae bloom, just because there's no plant to consume all this light. So there's gonna be a lot of ammonia and there's gonna be cycling, so it's gonna fuel the algae for sure. And once the tank is full of algae and the fish and the shrimps are ready to go in, they're gonna have a buffet in this tank. I'll keep you guys updated on the tank as we get more things rolling. If you guys aren't subscribed yet, make sure you subscribe. Like always, awesome guys. Peace.